Hey guys, so today we are going to be starting our shiitake mushroom farming experiment. And there's a whole bunch of different ways you can actually grow shiitake mushrooms and different recommended methods. But the one we're going to try today is to basically drill holes in a log, put these inoculating plugs in. They're basically wood plugs with some mycelium on them. Seal them with beeswax, and then the one method that I read about that's common in Europe, you bury the bottom third of your log in the dirt, and it wicks moisture up and keeps the log moist and the mushrooms fed, and it's supposed to last 3 to 5 years. So anyways, I've got these two shorter pieces of Douglas fir. They're fairly dry. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drill the holes for the mushroom plugs in them, and then I'm going to soak them in a blue bin for a few days so they're completely saturated, and then we'll inoculate it and get the logs buried in our warm, shady yet humid spot, and we'll see how that goes. It's supposed to take about a year for the mycelium to completely inoculate the logs, and says that best results is spring, early summer to inoculate them, and then let the mycelium grow all year, and by the fall it'll survive the winter. So anyways, we're going to try that, and yeah, let's get started. So we're going to drill 3 holes down, then 2, then 3, just kind of staggering up so I give this log the best chance of inoculation possible. Alright. Okay, so we've got the logs drilled. I've got them in the blue bin getting rehydrated. In a couple days, or tomorrow probably, I'll roll them over so the other side can get watered as well and suck in as much moisture as possible. And then we will put these inoculation plugs in for the shiitake mushrooms, seal them with beeswax, and then I'll bury the bottom 1/3 into the ground, and we'll see what happens. If this ends up being successful, I think I'm going to make a little mushroom farm out at North Fork, and I'll probably do a dozen, 10 to maybe a dozen to 20 of these little standing logs. From what I've read, you should only keep them about 2-3 feet max above the ground for this. Probably just do 3 feet max, and then the idea is you put the end grain in the soil, and then that sucks up ground moisture. So ideally you put it in a moist, shady spot, and I think I've got the perfect area because there's a bunch of underground springs, so the ground's always moist in this one particular area. And yeah, maybe we'll have a really good shiitake mushroom crop. Another one I'm experimenting with right now is a lion's mane mushroom. I'm just trying a couple things out with that. They grow very quickly. the shiitakes. It says it takes about a year for the logs to fully inoculate and then start producing fruit. So we'll probably have to wait till next year to see any results, but pretty excited about it. And the whole idea with inoculating a log is the mushrooms break down the wood fiber as into some kind of sugars or energy, and then basically the mushrooms will consume the logs over a period of 3 to 5 years, depending on the type of wood you're using, how big the log is, etc. So anyways, pretty exciting. We'll check that out. And then the next experiment I want to try is if these logs do inoculate and are successful, once they start deteriorating, can we actually take that spent wood fiber and re-inoculate new logs? And if that works, then we're in business. So anyways, let's check back here in a couple days and inoculate these logs with the wood plugs and mycelium. Alright, so these logs have been soaking in our bucket there for about a week, and you can see they're saturated. So these were, you can see that's kind of where the water line was, but these whole things are just completely soaked. So just taking them out and just gonna let them dry off enough so they're not sopping wet. I don't think the mushrooms like soggy wet wood, but basically hopefully the logs have enough moisture now that when we inoculate them, they'll be able to the mycelium will be able to spread throughout the whole log. And then with this approach that we're doing, like the bottom, probably from about here down, will be buried in the ground, and hopefully as the logs dry out, they wick the moisture up. Some of the other videos I saw, this top part they had also sealed with wax to prevent moisture loss, but that's not with them buried in the ground. So I think I'm going to not seal the top, with the idea that moisture will suck up through the bottom, and as it evaporates to the top, because the water will naturally want to migrate up, so if the top gets hot and it draws more water up, that'll keep feeding the mushrooms moisture anyways. So anyway, we're going to try it just as a test thing here at home, and if it works, we will put these vertical stumps in our place out at the North Forks Ranch. So anyways, let's go ahead and get these inoculated. Okay, so we've got our logs pulled out of the water. They're really damp, but the outside's dry, so I think we're good to inoculate them. We got these wood plugs from mushroom plugs from Happy Cap's Mushroom Farm. So hopefully these work. They were inoculated earlier this year. You can see they're kind of sprouting already, so we're going to go knock these into the logs and then get the logs planted about a third way down into the ground. Alright, since we've got a little extra beeswax, I'm actually going to cover the top of these stumps with the wax. I was going to maybe try one without it, one with it, but I think I'll just cover them both. And then that's what it recommends anyway to prevent moisture loss, but it still should suck up moisture out of the soil the way we're going to do this. So anyways, go ahead and do that now. Okay, we've got all the wax on, and see that just seals up those plugs, and what that's supposed to do is make it so moisture doesn't escape from there. And once the mycelium infects the entire log, the wax won't actually restrict it from coming out of the log. And here's the top. We just took a paintbrush and painted that on. I've seen it where they just dip the ends in a big vat of wax, which would probably work better actually, but I think you need to kind of be set up to do that. This is just a experiment to see if this is actually going to work. It says it takes about a year for these logs to fully inoculate. So I'm going to plant them now. It's late spring, early summer here, and next spring, summer, fall, we'll see if we start getting fruiting bodies coming out of here. So anyways, this is what they look like. If you can see down here, that's about the lowest point. So we're going to bury the log from about there down, and it'll just wick moisture up there. I'd previously soaked these in the blue bin so that the wood was nice and moist to give these mushrooms the best chance of taking over the log, because the logs are pretty dry before. So anyways, hopefully this works, and let's go plant them. Alright, this spot here by our garden shed, pretty moist, and never really gets full sun over here, so this is a good spot to try these mushrooms. See, the dirt's pretty wet there. Just dig that out, and we'll put our 2 stumps in. Okay, here's the 2 logs. Got them planted. Very wet spot. It never dries out in here, so they should wick moisture up into those stumps non-stop. We'll check back and see what these look like, and see if the mushrooms are able to take hold here. Well, I'm checking back on our mushroom logs. It's been about a year and a half since we planted them here. Full shade the whole time, beeswax covering, and so far no signs of fungus or rot or mushrooms anywhere. I don't know if I've done something wrong or whatnot, but for me it didn't work. I know for lots of people it does. So anyways, that's the end of the shiitake mushroom adventure. I'll probably leave these in over the winter again, but if some mushrooms do end up sprouting, I'll give you guys an update. But until then, we'll see you guys in the next video.